So what is that skill? What if you had a skill, if you could have a skill that you currently don't possess outside of what we normally talk about on this? This isn't what the podcast episode is about, but like that's where my brain went. What skill would you want?
Woodworking.
I knew it was going to be something with your hands.
How do you find the will to fight back against a world that wants to keep you sedated, average, and stuck in place? Join us for the tools and strategies you need to create a life of abundance, discipline, and high achievement. This is the Tactical Empire with Jeff Smith.
Welcome to another episode of the Tactical Empire. I am joined by Sean Ryder. How are you, sir? Let's get to it.
Hello, it's me. My best Adele voice. I think you'd like that.
Wow. Good start. Good start.
You know, if there was one skill that I do not have that I wish I had, it would probably be singing. I think singing would be an awesome skill to have that I absolutely do not have an ounce of ability to do in my DNA. It is something, put me into any sport. Like I haven't hit a golf ball, dude, in like probably realistically 7-10 years. And our neighbor brought over golf balls because my kids are in a country club camp and they do a little golfing. So we've been hitting golf balls in the yard, and like it took me a day, and now I'm like pretty decent at a pitching wedge. Just put some sort of sport in front of me, and I'll learn it fairly quickly. Singing, like dude, I turned 37 in like 3 weeks. Not even any ability to keep a tune, a beat, nothing. Yep. Nothing. So what is that skill? What if you had a skill? If you could have a skill that you currently don't possess outside of what we normally talk about on this? This isn't what the podcast episode is about, but like that's where my brain went. What skill would you want?
Woodworking.
I knew it was gonna be something with your hands. Yeah, I wish I was definitely more handy, but the listeners know that I've been working on my manliness.
I think it's woodworking, but like I lack anything to do with artistic ability or artistic connection. Like my wife went to school for ballet originally and like was in theater her whole life. I don't have that side of my brain. It just does not work for me. So like, that's why I think woodworking is a skill I want, because I think it would be cathartic, but I don't have the artistic side to actually I think be a talented woodworker either. So there you go. I don't know. Weird start to the thing. Hope you guys are still with us. Should we wrap it now?
No, we're good. That was only 2.5 minutes. If they're listening at 1.5 speed, that was only 1.5 minutes of their time. But okay, we wrapped up. We wrapped up a 90-day accelerator call today. And we've been on this, helping business owner kick. So hopefully this helps someone that has a skill set or owns a business. A comment came up. We won't give the exact context around from the client's perspective, but he was talking about a potential project, a potential thing to get involved in and do. And you had a response that was pretty interesting. I liked it a lot. Made a ton of sense. And you said, just because you have the ability to do something doesn't mean you should do it. And more specifically, you use the example like, we could basically solve having drinking water for everyone in the entire world. There's plenty of people that could solve that problem. But what is the ROI from a financial standpoint on that, right? And we're not going to get into morals and ethics and everyone should have clean, like we get it. Everyone should have clean drinking water. But, and I know, Bill Gates is attempting to do something like that, but we won't talk about his bitch ass on this podcast. You said like, just because you have the skill and ability and knowledge to do something doesn't mean it's the best use of your time. You could spend $1 trillion on something and still earn $0 from it. So let's talk about that in the realm of business ownership, skills, potential projects, abilities, ideas, things like that. You've worked with a ton of business owners. So where have you seen this go well? Where have you seen this go awry?
Yeah. So let's take this from a gigantic 1,000-mile macro viewed into a distilled down example that everybody could kind of relate to. A lot of times business owners spend their money, especially early on really stupid shit. Like they want a fancy office, or they want really nice equipment, or they spend on reinvesting in their business in areas that do not provide the necessary ROI to justify them. In the fitness space, you see this oftentimes with like building out a lounge area or something like that. And is there a true ROI on the lounge area? Maybe from a community standpoint, but if it costs you 120 grand to put flat screen TVs and all this fancy furniture in there, and then it looks like shit after 2 years, it didn't bring you an ROI on that. And so just because you can do things doesn't mean you should. That is also pursuing different avatars. It's pursuing like non-ideal clients. Like from a business owner standpoint, the more narrow you can get at knowing who your audience is and who your ideal client profile is, and targeting nothing but them, and peeling everything else away, uh, that creates efficiency in business. So, like trying to be everything. I mean, a simple example is trying to be everything to everyone, right? So you see these guys have this stack of product offerings, or a restaurant, for example. If I go into a restaurant and I see a 15-page menu that's got everything from fucking sushi to burgers to Mexican, like it weirds me out, because I'm like, the inefficiencies of this business are significant. There's so much waste associated with that, having fresh materials and things like that. So like in that case, that business owner would do themselves a service to cut that menu from 15 pages to 3 pages. And while their overall gross revenue may dip in the interim, their profitability would skyrocket. And a lot of times we have all this head trash about what we're doing. Or in this particular guy's situation, he had a great idea conceptually, right? And he thought he needed to build a business out of it. So instead of building a business, we went down a little thought exercise of how can you simply take this thing to market and not build a huge business, but license it or potentially scale it in a different way to where you could get acquired, um, and from an intellectual property standpoint or an IP standpoint, right? And so it's just there's a lot of different ways to do it. I think we get overzealous, especially as business owners who get bored. You see this all the time with business owners that are creating a little bit of success, and then they want to overhaul everything and start doing shit that is not really in their wheelhouse, or it's not what really got them there. And there's a saying that what got you here will not get you there, right? Of course. But like that doesn't always mean that you have to shift focus. So you have to be crystal clear on the innovations, quote unquote, innovations that you're making to your business, and how much they're in alignment with where you're going and your overall vision of what you're doing.
Sorry to switch gears here, but where my brain went, how does, and maybe this is completely irrelevant, but it popped in my head because something we talked about, like, how is that different than or similar to the entrepreneur? And just to put you and I in the spotlight, you and I are kind of this way, where we get 80% of the way there and then we look for the next thing. How, like, take that statement and take it where, like, is that a problem? Is that a good thing? Is it, and again, it's context dependent, but like, is that a completely different situation, or is that what we're talking about here? Or I don't know.
Well, it can be what you're talking about to an extent. Like I think you just have to gain a better understanding of yourself and your personality. Most visionaries are that way. There's an entire segment of the business owner space that's what they do. And the more, and by what they do, I mean start things and then get bored with them and want to shift roles, or like shift verticals or shift industries altogether. because they're not being challenged mentally enough. I am that person 100%. And so for me, I know that I need certain pieces in place before I go out and chase something, because I need the back end to step in and support where I need to go do other creative things. And so, like, from a business standpoint, like, you have to understand that about yourself so you don't continue to crash and burn and start stuff and then it because what happens is when the founder steps out, or the owner steps out, or the visionary steps out, a lot of times the businesses flounder and then they go into like this no man land of like a slow death. Like, you've seen it a million times in different service based businesses. But like, when the focus shifts from the energetic founder, like, you oftentimes see this like backpedaling of the business. And so, who's going to keep it going? Who's going to understand that growth is necessary? And then how can that strategic operator like stay involved to a point that keeps them engaged, but also services the business on a high level, right? If you want to stay involved, otherwise you need to build it and sell it, and build it and sell it. And unless, like, I'm not really into that either. So like, while I do understand that like my focus is going to be stretched until I'm challenged again, I just kind of prepare for that in my business life cycle now. Like, what can I get excited about? And sometimes it's just setting different targets for where you've been, right? Like, 10x is easier than 2x. Try to do that and go through that thought exercise, and then let's see if we can do that. Sometimes it's just that can really invigorate you or reinvigorate you into the business, and tie you back into it. And then, how long do you want to be doing the role that you're doing?
Are there any thoughts you have on like how we can put these ideas through a filter system? The first two that come to mind simply is give it time, let it marinate. It's kind of like a tattoo. If you have a tattoo idea, I was told when I was younger, wait 1 year. And if in a year from now you want that same tattoo, then go ahead and get it. And that was a pretty good filter system for me in regards to getting tattoos at younger ages. Another one, so that's time is number one. Maybe a second simple filter is, if you do have this squirrel brain or you're a visionary where you get projects started, then you start trailing off, just rededicating yourself for the next 30 days to get back into what the current thing is, and seeing where we can be more efficient and more productive, and see if the fruits of that labor yield the type of return you're looking for from this other project, so you don't have to jump ship before you're maximizing everything. Do you have any particular strategies?
Yeah, I think that for me, it's like, if you get stuck in this role, can you see yourself doing this role in 3 years? Because like, for me, there's a lot of different, you get a lot of opportunities, and a lot of opportunities start to present themselves the more and more success you have, right? And so for us, it's really distilling down, do you see yourself doing this? Because I get a lot of opportunities where I'm like, oh, I could do this for a period of time and then like go make X amount of money. And that was a curse of my 30s, I feel like, because I had these opportunities where I could go make money, but I didn't really like what I was doing, or I would hate what I was doing. And and so for me, it's really like all encompassing. Do What's this look like from a family perspective? Are you going to be fulfilled doing it? Is it challenging enough? And then what's the financial payoff, obviously. And so it's a balance of all those things. And and I say, quite frequently that you you constantly reshape yourself anyway. Every 3 to 5 years, we're a different iteration of who we are. And so, like, what you want to be doing today is not necessarily what you're going to be doing in 5 years. But sometimes people paralyze themselves with the decision making process, thinking it's a forever thing. Now, all I'm saying is, like, can you picture yourself here in 3 years if you happen to get stuck? Because 2 or 3 years in business is like no time. You make a bad decision that's a 6-figure, 7-figure bad decision, and you got to dig yourself out of that hole, or you sign the wrong lease. Like 2 or 3 years is going to go by in a flash. So you have to consider that type of stuff as a business owner, and then also as a human being that's living in the background of this, because it's all integrated together.
I love it. If you are someone that is listening to this episode and it resonates with you, I'm going to venture to say that you don't have an outside, unbiased source to help you filter these things through. You don't have to take the onus all on yourself to make these decisions. And so if you're listening to this episode, you need to go to the very next episode and listen to what we have to say, because that's going to play into what we're going to talk about on the episode after this one. If anything we said in this episode resonates with you and you do not have a third party unbiased source to help you filter these, listen to that episode and you're going to get a big takeaway on something that you should take a step forward in and decide to do. So, Jeff, great information. Appreciate your insight. Send the people out.
Guys, if you have questions, as always, hit us up. Instagram's the best place to get a hold of us. You can join us on the Tactical Empire community on Facebook. It's a free community. Go ahead and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, if you will. We appreciate all the followers out there. Let us know if you have any questions that we can address on the show. As always, have a kick-ass week, and we will talk to you soon.